So welcome everybody. As people are coming into the room, we'll be starting the presentation shortly. So we've got 58, 60 participants, 66, 70, 75, 84. Welcome everybody. Just wait one moment. We'll be starting soon. 99, 101, 104. We've got a great audience coming in today, so thank you everybody for coming to join the webinar. We're up to 116 participants, so we might just get going. It's now 118. So, well, welcome everybody, and thank you for coming. This is a presentation from Design and Crafts Council Ireland about the new Made Local campaign, which we're going to be launching next week. The Made Local campaign will take you through all the details of it, and we'll introduce the various people who've been working on this. So I'd like to introduce Rosemary Steen, Chief Executive, who's going to give a few words about the campaign and our strategy at DCCI around the campaign. Rosemary, please.
Thanks, Brian. So just to say, I very much appreciate the significant attendance we have this morning and you all joining at what is a very challenging time. And I know for many of you, this is the first time meeting with me, and I hope that over the next couple of weeks, we'll have much more engagement around the campaign, and I'll get to meet a number of you in terms of how things are going on. So I very much appreciate everybody joining with me this morning in terms of this update. So basically where we're at is we have done some quite significant research, which Brian is going to discuss further, which talks about how in this post-COVID world, that basically there's a lot of consumers that are very interested in supporting local. And that's at the core of why we're doing this, because we believe that there is a degree of consumer demand that we can support you all in reaching. And we believe that this is really important in the next couple of weeks. So we're really proud to champion the sector, which is of significant economic and cultural importance to Ireland. And we want you to not only survive, but thrive in this really challenging time. And basically, we've been watching how resourceful a number of our client enterprises have been in responding to the situation. But we at DCCI feel we need to do more to support you. So this campaign is our, if you like, best effort with all of our board and everybody committed and supporting it to really get behind the sector in the next couple of months and try and make sure that we support you as much as we can. So we're launching the hashtag Made Local campaign to sustain the design and craft sector through the recovery. And we aim to highlight and support Irish designers and makers through Ireland, as well as the shops that sell their work. And that's, I suppose, what's unique about this, is the, if you like, the coming together of the makers and the retailers in terms of supporting Made Local. And the campaign has been designed to be really inclusive, from the one-person studio to the 40-person enterprise, from the small chain of, from a small shop to a chain of stores. So we've tried to design it in a way that we can really allow everybody to get behind it. And we'll talk about that more, but it's really important to say this is a really inclusive campaign. As of this morning, we have about 510 makers, and Brian will give more detail on this later, and about 82 retailers that we're hoping that will grow to over 100 signed up to partake in the campaign. And we are really excited at that, you know, scale of activity. That's really, really good in terms of getting momentum behind the campaign. And we're hoping that more will join over the next few weeks. So the objective is to build and renew at a time of change. And this will be achieved by growing the awareness of the importance of craft and design in Ireland's identity and around the conversation about the tourism market and the staycations. And we hope one of the things that we've tried to do in judging the timing of this campaign is hit what we believe is the perfect time, which will be when most of the stores have reopened, and also the peak kind of the staycation time where we're hoping to drive spend. So we're hoping that this timing is really going to work. So basically, it will also align with other activities that many of you who are members will know in terms of our online work to support people through social media. And the webinars have basically all been part of building up to make sure that people have their online presence in place to support the campaign. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well later in it. The ultimate success of this will be the level of activity that we drive into the sector over the next couple of weeks. And we'll be reporting back on that at our AGM on the 2nd of September. And we're really hoping then to be able to do a second period of this campaign in the autumn to drive sales also into the Christmas period. So just this is the first part of a campaign that we hope to run as well later in the autumn. So hopefully that will be a quick update. I personally wish you, great success with the campaign over the next couple of weeks. We'll be staying in touch and we want to hear how you're all getting on. And I suppose I just want to say a special word of thanks to Andrew Bradley and his team at Bradley Brand for developing the campaign identity and artwork. And they worked really incredibly hard over the last couple of weeks. So I just want to recognize that now. We very much appreciate all of the work of the team at Bradley Brand in terms of getting us to this stage. I now am delighted to introduce Mary Palmer, who's a quilter based in County Cork and a member of the DCCI board. Mary's also founder member of the Cork Textiles Network and a member of the Quilters Guild of Ireland and treasurer of Cork Craft and Design. But Mary has played a key role over the last couple of weeks and months in terms of chairing our task force dealing with our response as DCCI to COVID. And she came up through the campaign, with the campaign at that part of that work of that task force. And it's great to have had her support, and it's been so important over the last couple of months. So Mary, I'd like to introduce you.
Thank you, Rosemary, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Obviously, your interest is of vital importance. The Client and Member Support Task Force was convened by Bríd O'Donoghue, the chair of the Design and Crafts Council, in response to the COVID-19 crisis. The task force consists of myself and fellow board members, Donna Quigley, Eddie Shanahan, and Paul McKeown. We've been meeting regularly with the DCCI team to monitor the situation and facilitate information and supports to the sector. Our focus has been and will continue to be on limiting, wherever possible, the impact of COVID-19 on our community. And we've been aware of the huge impact on both retail and makers due to lockdown, and are very keen that we all support each other during this recovery period. I'm a maker myself, and I'm delighted to be part of this campaign, and I look forward to the launch next week. I think that our community is one of great enthusiasm, talent, and resilience, and I believe we can work together to make this campaign go viral, not only in our community, but throughout the country. With that, I'd like to pass on to Brian, who will give us more information about the campaign program. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mary and Rosemary, for that. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview. I will say, please, if you have questions, just type them into the chat or in the Q&A. We will be gathering all the questions at the end. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of them. And then the panel and ourselves will come back to you with answers on the call, or maybe there may be someone who needs to have a call afterwards, and we'd be more than happy to do that as well. Okay, so in terms of the campaign overview, first of all, we're really excited about this. I want to talk you through the goals, how long it's going to last, what the elements of the campaign are, and who the participants are at this point. I think it's clear to all of us that Made in Ireland is really important. And, you know, it's not only an economic benefit, but it's a cultural benefit as well for Ireland during the recovery phase. We want to really focus on the making, inspire the people of Ireland to wear, give, and own Irish design and craft, and also to bring retailers and makers together to grow sales. And I think this is really important. And Mary mentioned there about the community. We have a very large community of participants, and that's really important that we mobilize each other and inspire each other and motivate each other. Rosemary mentioned a research that we did with Amórach, who are a leading Irish-owned research company. And it's really fascinating to see that 7 in 10 Irish adults are interested in Irish made and design craft. Females and those in older age groups are more likely to be interested compared to males and those in younger age groups. And I think we all would know that anecdotally. Irish crafts are recognized as skillful, with nearly 9 in 10 agreeing that crafts use authentic skills and approaches throughout the construction. The majority of Irish adults also agree that when it comes to Irish made and design crafts, they're considered pieces of art, make an ideal gift, and are of excellent quality. And being Irish made, and this is a key point, being Irish made is important for 3 out of 4 Irish adults. In terms of purchasing behavior, over half of Irish adults have purchased Irish made and design crafts in the last 12 months. And the majority of craft purchases were for gifts. And I think, again, most of us involved in the industry for some time would know that. Nearly a third have purchased online before, but the very, very, very interesting point here that after post-lockdown, we're seeing a very large increase in the number of people intending to buy online. And this is going to be, I think, a significant change going forward, and calls, up the importance for makers to get their online presence strengthened as we move forward. And one of the key things we'd really like to get out of this campaign is a conversation with you about how that can happen using the Trading Online vouchers and other resources available from government. So the campaign we're running is going to have 2 phases. The real priority phase, obviously, is the launch period, which is July and August. And we've timed this from when we talked about this early on in the year with the COVID task force and Rosemary, about timing it to coincide with the travel internally for staycations. Obviously, there are no foreign tourists in Ireland this year, but there will be a lot more Irish tourists than normal. And that is a real opportunity for you and for the retailers to capitalize on. So there'll be advertising for 2.5 weeks in what's called a burst of advertising. And then that'll be backed up with public relations, point of sale, and social media through August. Phase 2 will come in November, where we again will have a burst of advertising with Christmas PR, point of sale, and social media through November and December. And this is really important that the first phase gets a lot of attention or gets top of mind now, so that when we come back again in November, there's awareness. The elements of the campaign, you all would have received a letter from us, and many of you have opted in to receive your point of sale materials. This is really important because the physical presentation of the campaign will be seen on the ground in stores and in studios. There are window stickers for shops. There's A4 and A5 tent cards. There's shelf talkers and swing tags and stickers for products. We really want to see these stickers on your products. We also, and Susan will talk about in the social media, we want to see them photographed and shared on your products, because it's a very, very clear way to tell people that your product was made local. There's radio advertising on national and local stations. Obviously, our budget isn't huge, but we're spending it very wisely to try to make sure we get the maximum amount of local spread on the radio. There's a very strong public relations campaign on national and local, being led by our public relations agency, Fleischmann Hillard. And then there'll be digital advertising as well, and that will feature some short videos as well of content that we already have. It's not new content, it's existing content. So who has opted in? As of this morning, we have 509 makers. I'll tell you that our target is 1,000. So if you have friends, please share it now. Please text your friends and tell them they must come and get in touch with us. We are offering the point of sale at no charge, but we do need the name and address of the business. There are 88 retailers signed up. Our goal is over 100. I think we'll get there. Again, a push. If you know of a retailer who hasn't signed up, maybe someone who you work with closely, tell them we need more. So what do we want you to do? So the first thing is really to use the point of sale materials in studios and shops. Really important. We get that visual element out there, and the thumbprint is a very strong message. Send us your photos and videos for us to share. Use the social media graphics and templates, and Amy Lee Thompson from Bradley Brand will show us how to do that momentarily. Tweet, share, and like other made local posts. Get your friends and relations to like and share. And this is important because it's not just the crafting community, but also your friends and relations who are not in the crafting community, because that was, as Mary Palmer said, get us viral beyond, say, our own community. Tell other makers and retailers about the campaign, and share your campaign and your work with your local media contacts, and that's also important. So with that, Susan Brindley is going to talk us through the PR plans and the launch plans. Susan?
Thank you, Brian, and good morning, everyone. Yes, delighted to have the opportunity to talk to you today. And also on today's webinar, we have Michelle Lynch from Fleischmann Hillard. As Brian mentioned, Fleischmann Hillard are working with us on the campaign. So initially, as Brian mentioned, we're hoping for a really strong campaign launch. We're waiting just for final details on the date and time of that. But you know, we're hoping for a really strong and engaging launch and a really dedicated push. And obviously we're looking for all of our participating partners in the campaign, our retailers and the makers, to come in behind that and get involved. You know, together there's the strength in numbers, and we're really hoping to get you all engaged in that. As part of the campaign launch, we're going to be unveiling the new symbol that has been created. You know, as the team have mentioned, Bradley Brand have worked with us in the campaign. And key to the campaign will be encouraging people to seek out and look for that symbol in stores and in studios that they visit over the coming weeks and months. You know, DCCI is leading on this campaign, but really the focus is very much on promoting the wealth of talent that we have in Ireland, all of the creative designers and makers that we have, and also the stores that are all over the country, you know, waiting to be discovered. You know, there are small shops in towns and villages across Ireland, and lots of retailers selling online and everything. And we want to encourage everybody to actively look out for the symbol, to actively support and you know, go and purchase work from those makers that are making things locally. And it's very much a unified call. That's what we're looking for, as we said, that together we can all make this a really great success. And we're delighted to have the support of our stakeholders, our funders and partner organisations. So our Department of Business, Enterprise and Innovation, Enterprise Ireland, the network of local enterprise offices, they have all agreed to support our promotion of this. They'll be including information on distributing their newsletters, their e-zines and support on social media and everything like that. So we're delighted to have that support and look forward to your engagement in the campaign as well. With regards to the PR then, so obviously we'll be formally announcing the launch, and we'll keep you all posted on the details for that. And our whole PR push will coincide with the radio and digital advertising campaign, as Brian had mentioned. We're very much going for push right across the country, so at a national level, but also at local level. So for local media, local papers, local radio stations, we very much want to see that happen. We're really looking for a grassroots campaign, and that we want to spread that message that there are retailers and makers just awaiting to be discovered. There are beautiful locations that will surprise and delight people. As you know, this summer a focus will be on staycationing, and that we want to make sure that you know, visitors around the country actually go and find and discover locally made work, and that can be their souvenir from their holidays of 2020. We'll also be working with all of you then in gathering content that you are our ambassadors for this overall program then as well. So we'll be, as follow-up to today's webinar, we'll also be reaching out with regards to what we're looking for you to do and guidelines around social media, and then how you can be involved with us in our PR outreach then as well. And with regards to social media then as well, yeah, this is going to be critical to the success of the campaign. We really want to have a coordinated national engagement and everything like that. And so we're asking you all to actively get involved in this, to be creative, to think outside the box, and any ideas that you come up with to show your actual support, and also engage audiences then as well in the campaign. Be sure that you're following Design and Crafts Council of Ireland channels. We're going to be doing likewise for all of the partners that get involved in the campaign. We're going to be making sure that we're following you. And please do follow our lead once the campaign has officially gone live, that we'll be looking for you to row in behind that and to actually get involved and everything. As Brian mentioned, we'd be delighted to receive images and video from you. A number of you have already shared resources with us for that. We're delighted to have that. So as part of our outreach, there is a Cognito form that you'll have received in an email that you can upload information and everything and share resources with us on that. So we just want to make sure that we have a whole range of resources to roll out over the campaign. And from the launch day then, again, if you follow our lead on that, our key focus for the launch day is we want to see a blue wave. So we'd like to see you all post the General Made local image on all of your platforms. And then following on from the launch then as well, there are various different ideas that we would suggest around that. So like that for taking photos of your product with the point of sale materials on it, again, to show things that are actually made local. It'd be lovely to have a friend or family member take a photo of you actively making your making process and to post that. And also with all of the resources and materials, the point of sale materials, to actually show those in situ in your store or in your studio. And lots of other ideas. As we said, we'd love you to be creative. We also think there's a great capacity for makers, not just promoting their own work, but also makers supporting other makers. You know, there's a great thing. We have a wonderful community out there, and makers love, you know, purchasing the work of other makers. So it'd be lovely to even share posts of whose work you admire, who you'd love to aspire to be like. You know, if there's a wonderful coffee mug that you drink your coffee from every morning, it'd be lovely to share that and to show that there is the whole community, that we're all supporting each other. And likewise then for makers and retailers supporting each other, there's lots of different options there for putting a spotlight on a certain product range, you know, promoting top picks of the week, whether it's the store owner or the store buyer, and promoting a specific work and everything like that. There's lots of ideas that we'd actually love to engage you in. And again, just encouraging visitors to your studio or store to get involved then as well. It would be lovely to have them taking photos, you know, in your premises or with your work, you know, talking about how they're delighted to support Made Local and to be purchasing locally made work. And also as part of the supports for the actual social media campaign, then a number of assets have been developed for use in Canva. And Amy then from Bradley Brand is going to talk us through that. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted there. Apologies. Here's Amy. Sorry, apologies. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to take you through a basic tutorial for how to use Canva. Okay, so this is Canva's website. So it's just canva.com. And to set up an account, you just have to go and put in your email address and a password and verify it by email. And you can get a free account. So we've supplied
I think we might have lost Amy's signal there. Her audio is on.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so there's 3 different categories for the social media posts. There's generic, there are maker posts, which feature pictures of the makers, and then there's product ones, which would feature product imagery. So I'm just going to show you how to set up one of them. So within Canva, top right-hand corner, and say create a design. And within the guide supplied, you'll find dimensions for the social media graphics. So let's say we want to create, let's say we want to create a Facebook post. Here are the dimensions, 1200 by 630. And so within Canva, you can just go custom dimensions and type in those dimensions over there and create a new design. And you should have a blank template that will pop up. There are templates within Canva, but we're not going to worry about those. So we will supply a whole lot of assets that you can use to build up your own graphics, and you just need to upload them onto the Canva website. So you just do that by clicking upload an image or video, and I'm just going to upload these assets. So you just got to wait for them to upload, and then you can start using them. So you can just click on within your asset folder, and by scaling them on the corners, they'll scale proportionately on your artboard. So the ideal images to use for makers would be to have a clear space on the left-hand side, because that's where your text will go, and then the person to be on the right-hand side. And then we have these PNG graphics that have all the branding on already, which you can drop onto the artboard and just scale them. And for adding text, you just have to use the font called Now. You can click on any of these different text options and you can customize them afterwards. So the font we're using for these graphics is called Now, which is the closest to the Made Local brand font. So I would suggest keeping it to Now Bold and Now Regular. So we'll use Now Bold. And let's say we want to add the maker's name, just type it here. And we suggest keeping this always left aligned and put it comfortably in this space over here. And now the color for our Made Local campaign is a DCCI blue. And you cannot color eyedrop in Canva, but you can upload a custom hex code for the Canva, for the custom colors. So the Canva, the DCCI blue 106B4, and it will change your color so it matches the branding. And then we want to just add a little title underneath, color to the relevant color you need. And there we go. And now to save this, all you have to do is go to the top right-hand corner, select download, and it already suggests that you download it as a PNG. There are other options, but I recommend downloading it as a PNG. It is the best quality for social media. And before you do that, you can rename your file so that you can find it on your computer. So I'm just going to say Made Local, and then you just set download onto your computer, and it will save it within your download folder. Now this is all within the free Canva account. And it's fairly easy to save your files, and they'll always stay within here. And when you go back to your home, you'll see your graphic will be saved. I had already created these three, so they're all saved here. And now, if you wanted to create a folder to collate all your graphics together, you can just right-click in the top right-hand corner, say Move to Folder, create a new folder, and it will save them within a folder. And you can find all your folders over here. So that's pretty much it. It is fairly easy to work with once you know the basics, and just make sure that you're using an image that has a clear space on the left-hand side, always keeping with the blue colors, and using good quality images. Make sure they're not pixelating, and make sure you're using the brand font Now. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Amy. I think we may go to some questions, and Nicola Doran from our team is compiling the questions. Nicola, would you like to just start and just talk us through some of the questions?
Absolutely. So we've had a lot of questions in, so I'll start at the beginning. Some of them we've covered already through the presentation. But the first one there is, does the campaign only include Made in Ireland, or can it also include designed local, but made outside of Ireland?
So, Nicola, just to answer that question, I think I'll take that one. Yes, it's only for Made Local, so it's not for Designed in Ireland. So people who opt into the campaign must actually only use it in relation to Made Local. Yes. Great.
Next one we have touched on, but it might be good to clarify it. Is there a badge for online stores?
Yes, Bradley Brand have done a tile for online stores, and that will be part of the digital assets shared with you when you opt in. So anybody who opt in, there's a form which everybody has received on their email, and if you didn't get it, we will resend it to you. In that, you'll opt in, and part of that will be that you'll receive digital assets, which include what Amy showed us there in relation to the social media assets, but also the digital tile for websites.
Great. And this is a question from Alka. Do the local enterprise offices receive details about the makers and shops in their area that have opted in, so that they can distribute and push in their area?
I'll take that, Brian, shall I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I've been liaising with the communications team for the local enterprise offices. And so we're sharing information with them. They're going to be pushing that out to the overall network of local enterprise offices. And we'll make sure that they receive information then as well on the list of participants as part of that. And obviously, a lot of the local enterprise offices clients will also be DCCI clients who are participating in the campaign. Thanks.
Great. Then this must be from one of the retailers. They're just complimenting the presentation and the campaign, and they're saying they'd be happy to put a feature window in their store. Are there larger point of sale materials available for window display?
Well, Andrew, I think it's probably something that we need to talk to you about. I mean, I think the graphics, you have designed them to make them flexible for larger use, correct?
Absolutely. So if someone sends in a rough dimension of the window with a photograph, we'd be more than happy to scale it up, and then you can get a local sign company to produce it, whether it's a permanent vinyl on the window or whether it's just printing a board. But it'll scale very easily. But we haven't budgeted to actually give you the big, large board, but it shouldn't be that difficult to get it produced.
Great. Susan, this is probably one for yourself and Michelle. It's, can you give us details on the PR campaign, the radio stations and etc. that will be targeted, and will makers and craftspeople be asked to be interviewed?
Yeah, thanks. Another great question then as well. So I think as follow-up to today's webinar, there's going to be additional information that's going to be shared with everyone. We're conscious that there will have been questions about the social media assets and everything and how to do those, accessing Canva and everything. So there will be further information that we'll be sharing. And as part of that, we'll also outline what we're looking for people to do on social media, and giving an outline then of the PR activities then as well. I think what we'd like to do for local media is to make sure that we have a catalogue of quotes from makers and retailers right across the country. So our suggestion would be that we come up with a suggested quote that anybody can then customize that, whether it's the retailer talking about how many makers they stock in their shop, and that we have those to use then in that regional outreach that we'll be working with Michelle and the team at Fleischmann Hillard on.
Great. Okay, there might be some concern, I think, out there just in terms of Canva. So we have one question just saying, are we all to become graphic designers? The Canva seems a little complex. So I don't know who wants to take that one.
I'll just jump in first, Amy, before you do, if that's okay. So I think it's important to state that this campaign has been designed to be as simple as possible. So if you're just using the blue tile, there's no technology needed at all other than the photo of that in your phone, and then you just upload that photo. You don't add anything to it. If you want to get more complex, you can, and we felt that Canva, and Bradley specifically felt that Canva would allow those very creative people to use it for more adventurous posts, but it's not necessary. At the end of the day, our goal is to get the Made Local thumbprint out there, and that's all really. So if you want to do the most simple post of all, it's a picture of your product with the point of sale beside it and a photograph, and that's it. So Amy, do you want to talk a bit more?
Yeah, I agree. Some people might find them hard to use, but I think, like you're saying, I think as long as you uploading like good quality images, make sure that the blue tile is good quality, and if you're tagging DCCI and hashtag Made Local, like then there'll be traction So don't get too caught up on if you can't understand how to use the Canva, but we are going to send the guides through, which will help, so you can refer back to them.
Great. Next question is slightly related. Are those digital assets to be shared on launch day? Susan, you might want to take that.
Yeah, great. So what we would aim to do is that because we're waiting on finalization of the exact launch day and time, so we'd like everyone to follow our lead. But you know, as we said, one of the easiest things to do is to share the general made local image. So that will be shared with everyone, and that's the first thing that we'd actually like to see everybody push out. And then you'll have access to all of the materials then in Canva if you want to do that, or else just, you know, as we said, taking photos on your phone of your product and everything and sharing those. But I think that the key thing we want to really see a blue wave on social media from launch day. So it's that general thumbprint identity that we'd like to see everybody pushing out initially.
Can I just add there, Nicola, that we've also in your correspondence with us, you've received a form for you to upload any quality digital assets that you have, that would be images or video. We do want you to share that with us. We do want to put that out for you. So please, you know, take the time to share, to upload, so that we can share that content on your behalf as well.
Actually, Brian, that covers one of the next questions. Was somebody had asked, in the images that they share with us, should they be branded or non-branded? What type of images are we looking for?
Branded is always better. Anything that gets your name out there is what we want. At the end of the day, the campaign is about your brand. This is only a help to your brand. It's not about us, it's about the makers.
Yeah, I think just add to that, Brian, I think we're keen if we can have images of people that are branded, because it's very much about getting the sense of community across.
Yes.
So if we could put people at the center of the images on Thursday, we really think that that'll help connect with people following the campaign.
Great. And there's another good question in here. Will there be a dedicated madelocal.ie website?
So no, there won't be a dedicated website. You know, constructing a brand new website would be a big budget project for us, which we don't have right now. We did purchase that and protect it so that nobody else can set it up. But no, basically, when people link through the digital assets or through the online stuff, they'll come through dcci.ie, where they'll be directed to various different locations from there. So it'll be dcci.ie is the main web address.
And I suppose for the period of the campaign, that will be heavily branded with Made Local. So that message is going to be really strong when it goes out.
Yeah.
Okay. We have quite a lot of questions, so we may not get to them all today in this, but we can also answer them afterwards. And if anyone needs a call, we're happy to do that. There was a good one here. There's lots of, actually, I have to say, there's lots of great initiatives, and thank you for the support, and lots of good news stories. People saying that their sales are good in their studios and in their shops at the moment, and this campaign should give a real push to that. There's one here is, will you be targeting international markets, or is it just Ireland?
Rosemary?
So this campaign is particularly targeted around the staycationers for the August weekend and into the first and second part of August. I think we're going to look at feedback from yourselves in regard to what, for the second part of the campaign, for the Christmas market, as to whether there's an international aspect to it. And we do think that the international aspect is going to be more important as we go through the winter and into 2021. But for this particular campaign, we're targeting the staycation market.
Great. And then on to another practical question. Would you suggest that we add the badge to our Facebook covers and our social media platforms?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you've signed up for the campaign and you've got the assets from us, and it is important, really important to stress that everybody must opt in to be part of the campaign. So to do that, you must reply to the form, the online form we've sent out to everybody. But once you opt in, yes, absolutely, you can use it. Yeah.
Great. And next related question is, when can we expect to receive the digital assets?
So the digital assets for the tile will come first, and then the more complex stuff around Canva will come after the launch.
Great. And will we still be able to add more photos and videos after today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Mary Palmer, I think it's important to state really that we don't want this to go out before the launch. Isn't that correct? Yeah, so,
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, that is correct. I think we would like to hold back as much as possible until the launch happens next week. And we'll have more information about the exact time and date for you next week.
So the next question then is around the PR campaign. Just generally people looking for as much detail as possible. Is there anything else that we need from makers in terms of supporting that campaign?
So can I just say, I'd like just to take this one, I'd really like if details of people who are willing to give interviews to be part of the campaign could be passed back to myself, Brian and Susan. So it's really important that the voice of the makers and the retailers comes through loud and clear. So if you are interested in doing an interview or being available for local media, please let us know and we will try and work that into the plans and get in contact with you next week. We are doing a whole scheduling of local and regional radio, as Brian mentioned and Susan. So really, makers who are up for doing interviews, please let us know and we'll try and drive that out. Okay?
Great. Now there are a lot of Canva specific questions, but I think we might take that offline and answer those directly with people. We will be putting a kind of a cheat sheet together to talk you through those for anyone who wants to go to that level of getting the detail of Canva into their push out of the campaign. So we would say to people, you know, you've just seen it once off and it may look daunting, but it's actually much more straightforward than it looks. So we will have an awful lot more information for anyone who wants to step up and try that. But as Brian said, it'll be perfectly fine to just use the simple tiles that we send out, and also to take photos with the branding when you get your point of sale and push those out on social media as well. So I think that covers most of the big questions that have come. Yeah, I think that covers everything. There's a huge amount of thank yous and great ideas, and this is perfect timing.
Nicola, one person has said if they've already shared a Dropbox with us with images, can they add to that? Absolutely, yes. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, the great thing about this campaign, the most powerful thing about this campaign is that the world has changed in terms of digital. And, you know, everybody from older to younger, everybody's using digital more. And it's a real opportunity for us to grow our community through digital. So any digital assets you have, we want to see them.
Great. And then there's one other quick one. Can we use Photoshop instead of Canva?
Andrew?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Canva is just a simpler version of Photoshop.
Great. Okay. There's a lovely one here. Thank you for all the hard work on this. It's really important. Yes, just to reiterate, there's somebody saying I joined late. Is there a recorded version? Yes, we will have a recorded version and we'll be sending that out to everybody who opted into the campaign, and actually probably wider than that as well. So if there are people that you know that haven't opted in yet, it's not too late, and we will be sending them a recording of this, and all of the data and the information that you're getting will also be available to anyone who comes on board even after this date. So I think that covers most of the big questions that have come in.
Rosemary, would you like to say a few words just to conclude the call?
There's great energy out there, so I'm delighted that this got such a great response. Please get in touch with us if you have questions on what we've said here today.